Okay, so some basic commands for getting to know your data. We took a peek at what the data looked like, right? Earlier. We've got makes and like the observation level is make or make and model, I guess is how you put it. Price, miles per gallon. We got a few different things here. Okay, so sometimes, especially if you have a big data set that's sort of hard to keep track of, you got lots of variables, or you got lots of observations, some of these commands can be helpful in giving you a sense of what's in your data. So the first one here, we could use describe, right? Describe gives you all the different variables and a little bit of information about those variables, like labels, what kind of format are they, what kind of type are they. You can also use Codebook, which tells you a little summary about each of the variables that you list, or you could do it for all the variables. So I'm just picking 3 here. So let's look at what Codebook gives you. So for this string variable, it gives you some examples, gives you how many unique values, tells you it's a string, and how many are missing, which is a useful thing to know. We've got a byte variable, so that's a 1 or a 0. Tells you the unique values, how many missing, gives you something about the labels of those values and the frequencies of each of those, right? And then for an integer, it tells you the range, missing again, and something about the mean, standard deviation, and a bit of the percentiles there as well. So these can be useful, particularly if you have like a big data set that's like sort of hard to get your head around a little bit. Help give you a little bit of a sense of it. Count is an easy one to think about observations. So how many observations are there? 74 observations. You can also add one of those logic operators in an if statement. So this is saying, hey, STATA, go through each of these observations, and if the value of miles per gallon for that observation is less than or equal to 15, count it, and if not, don't count it, right? So we're looking at this subsample, and we're applying this command to it, which is something that you'll use in a lot of different situations, creating variables, summarizing things, lots of different situations. Okay, so only 10 of them have a miles per gallon less than or equal to 15. Other things that I use a lot for this sort of stuff, you can do list. This will tell you. This will just spit out, what does the data set look like? Show me like these variables for this subset that I'm talking about here, and just display them. Right. So this is just showing you a little snippet of the data set itself. That can be useful, especially with the big data set. Summarize, another big one, right? This is just going to give you mean, standard deviation, min, max. If you want to throw a detail on the end of there, it provides you with percentiles. If you really need to know the kurtosis of a variable, this is the command for you. Now notice this is the first time we've used, well, not the first time, we used it up here, but there's a comma here, and so the basic syntax when it comes to status, you'll have a command, maybe with a variable, or in this case we had a command and a file name, and then you'll have a comma, and after the comma will be some options that go with that command, right? And so in this case, one of the options we can use is detail, and that sort of alters what it tells us a little bit. Up here, one of the options for the use command, or the sysuse command, is clear, which says whatever's in the data set, make sure to clear it, and then open this one, right? So almost all commands will have a bunch of different options that you can choose from. If you want to like figure out if you're trying to do something with a command, often the tweaks you need to make are in the options, and so you'll want to like use the help file here. So in this case, if we're looking at summarize, we can just type in help summarize, and it gives us all sorts of information about the syntax of that command. You know, you put a little var list here, you can have an if statement, you can weight it, then there's some options, and like what kind of options, we got all these different options here, right? And it provides a bunch of information about those options, gives you a few examples that you could run yourself if you want to, and some other stuff as well. So help files are really good in STATA if you know what you're looking for, right? If you know which command you're trying to use. So let's take a look at if we want to do, you know, find the means for foreign versus domestic cars, right? So here this summarize, or you can, you know, there's also, you can use shortened names for some of these if you get lazy. So you can just use some if you're lazy like me. Okay, so foreign. So this is like looking just at the subset of foreign cars. We're taking the average. We're looking at, you know, the summary statistics here for those cars for price. So here's our mean price for those cars. Here's our mean price for the domestic cars. That's one way to do it. Lots of ways to do everything you want to do in STATA. You could also do by sort, which is basically for each, it's just saying for each value of this variable, run this command, right? So basically subsetting the data by this variable. Sometimes that's nice if you got lots of different categories. You don't want to like go through and do this 20 times, right? So we can do this, and it will just do domestic and foreign for us, and we get basically the exact same output. We can also make a table, right? So a table, we could do, you can split the data in a couple different ways, or like in multiple cells if you want, and then tell it, you know, what statistics you want within each of those cells. So there's table by foreign car, domestic car, and then we're getting the mean, and the mean of price and the mean of miles per gallon there. We could also add like some other variable here if we want to within each of those cells, right? So domestic cars with one repair record in 1978. This is the price. This is the mean price. This is the mean miles per gallon, right? Cab stat, yet another way to do the same thing here. So here we're doing the mean, min, and max. We've got a few different statistics we're doing. We've got this by variable. What are we doing these statistics? What's the group we're doing the statistics by? And then here are the variables that we're taking the min, mean, and max of. So sort of depending on exactly what you do, there's some ways are a little bit easier to get to certain answers, but lots of different ways to do the same thing in STATA.